Welcome back to the Big Blue Lifers podcast. I'm Mr. U. That's Jess. We're here to talk all things New York Football Giants. My brother, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. I'm not sure if we're having technical difficulties right now. I'm seeing a double screen going.
You, yeah, well, that's StreamYard. You probably can just hide the vertical in that one because they got an option to send it on social on both platforms. So I pulled mine off because I heard some doubling of the audio too. So I pulled mine off. So just hide the vertical, and we'll go ahead and jump into the show. All right, so
All right, sounds good.
there is a lot going on. Clearly, there's a lot going on. After if you want to get into the Bears game, you can get into it a little bit. I don't really have anything to say about that per se. I want to talk about the other thing because there's so much outside of that that's happened since that's now creating a lot of questions. Well, during the game as well, but creating a lot of questions for us. So if you want to highlight what happened there, that's fine. But for me, what happened was more significant after the game. After that game was over, I looked at yet another fourth quarter collapse. We've had quite a few of those. I know you predicted that we're going to win another game. I hedged on that a little bit because I said we're in every game, so we can definitely win. Sunday was another example of that. I think we were up 3 in 2017 before Dart went out of concussion, went out with a concussion, and Russ came in. I could hear the boos from all over here in South Carolina. I already knew. No, there was at the time a fan walking the earth that wears blue for real that wanted to see that man on that field do anything besides cheering Dart on and encouraging him. However, he came out there, and lo and behold, we lost the lead. Another fourth quarter collapse, if you will. And for me, Monday morning was like, you know what? This has to be the day of reckoning. I had some errands to run. I did some side jobs I do the whole morning. Nothing happened. Not a thing. Came home, took a nap. While I was sleeping, we got the word that head coach Brian Daboll has been relieved of his duties. So I don't know what you want to start with the Bears Giants game, or you want to talk about that. You can start wherever you want to because we got a lot to get into. So
I think that the Bears game was emblematic of and symbolic, honestly, of Brian Daboll's downfall. Because I mean, if you remember, in his first year, he was playing to win. I mean, we had that game in game 1, instead of kicking the extra point to tie the game and possibly go to overtime, he went for 2 and we won because he wanted the lead. Now, the defense almost gave it up and the Titans kicker missed a kick, but the point is he went for it. And
how's it going, Dave? Thanks for jumping in, brother. Thanks for watching, man. Love to hear your thoughts and comments on the show.
And whatchamacallit? We were, and now he's going, like, we get to the half-yard line with Russ, and I know it's Russ and not Dart, because Dart at that point had left with the concussion. And honestly, I don't blame Daboll as much for the Dart concussion stuff as some other people do. But but all of a sudden now we're kicking field goals from the half-yard line. We're playing safe. He's coaching scared. And it's just one of these things that it's like, I don't know. Like, it's like he so badly wanted to succeed that he was scared of taking the risks necessary to succeed. He kept playing it so safe and so scared. And the truth is, he did get kind of unlucky in the injury department. Like, it wasn't just one thing. Like, I don't think Brian Daboll is a bad offensive mind. He just clearly wasn't cut out to be a head coach, at least in this first go-around with the Giants. I'm sure a few years down the line, after going back and being an OC again, maybe in like 5 to 10 years, he'll get another chance, because it's not like his tenure was as bad as Spagnola's was in, what was that, Oakland? With the Raiders, I think he was a head coach, and it went so badly no one ever wanted to touch him as a head coach again, which is why he went back to the Chiefs as not went back to, but he ended up at the Chiefs once again as a defensive coordinator, and that's where he's going to be hanging his hat, possibly in the Hall of Fame. But Brian Daboll and his Giants tenure started 7-2, went 13-38 or something, I think it was, the rest of the way. So it's a mixture of bad luck, coaching scared, coaching it too safe, and some very dumb decision making in regards to like the kicker situation. But at the end of the day, as we've said on this podcast a number of times, just got to clean house now. I don't want Shane to be here. I don't think anybody involved with the Giants has actually been as bad as certain people are making it out to be. But they're making them out to be. But at the end of the day, like, I think we just gotta start fresh. I don't think the locker room wants any of these guys around.
Yeah. We got a bit of a pattern. I'm sorry. I mean, cut you off, brother.
I heard, like, some people, I think it was Bobby Skinner on Giants Nation now, talking about how certain things that he's heard from people in the know about how people view Joe Shane around the league. And apparently he is not viewed well, not viewed favorably in the slightest. I'm not going to try and put, like, if you want to hear Bobby's full thoughts, he's got a great pod. Shout out Bobby Skinner and, the Giants Nation team. But I don't agree with how harshly Bobby and some of these other guys think. I don't agree with how badly they view Shane. I don't agree with how badly some of them view Daboll. I just think it was just not meant to be, as it turns out. Like, I think Daboll is a better coach than virtually everyone prior to him in the post-Coughlin era. I do think, at least schematically, he was. And I do think Shane is better than Gettleman was and Reese at the end. I at the very least, in terms of process. But it just was one of these things where I see the vision that these guys, wanted to have with this younger, more forward-thinking, more analytical take on football, with building out certain positions and not prioritizing others. It just did not work out, and a lot of things outside their control kind of really just it just all just broke so poorly for them post 2022. So I think it's just time to clean house and let him go. But it sounds like Shane's going to be here to stay, and now it's Kafka's turn. Ugh.
We dropped to 2-8, and whether we think Daboll is a quality head coach or not, I don't. I think he's a great OC, great offensive mind, but 20, 40, and 1. Those numbers we're not getting away from him. And that's under his tenure. There's some things that I think I saw this in the same place with Bobby. I forgot about one of these I forgot about, but there's a history of what Mara does with head coaches and GMs. And unfortunately, that history is something that we're probably going to see play out again. Coughlin got fired, I think it was in 2015, I think it was. Reese was fired 2 years later. Not at the same time when we thought that was going to happen. Coughlin should have never been bumped like that to start with. That's a whole different topic. I think that's probably one of the pawns on his organization, is that Coughlin wasn't treated very well when he should have been. Hall of Fame, Super Bowl winning coach. Should have been treated a lot better than that. Shermer was our head coach for a while. He got fired. Dave Gettleman was the GM. We thought he should have went out with the the rest of the bath water. Guess what? He got let go 2 years later. Now we got Dayball here, and Shane is still sitting here in the box. I don't think he's going to make it for 2 years, but I kind of feel like I read this somewhere as well. I feel like this is kind of more of a strategic thing now. Shane is helping Mara in some other ways, but this is not something that where it's like Shane's not on the hot seat. He is safe. If I was Shane, I wouldn't think that at all, because right now we're looking in the face of something that could be maybe perhaps a glimpse of a bright future, or it can be your prediction: no more games won. Talking about a 2-15 record, which is a very, very ugly scenario. So we got that out of the way. Now we know we're shopping for new head coaches now. The thing that's encouraging to me is that, and I said this probably in the offseason on some other shows, including ours, I didn't think we were a destination place for potentials to want to come, to want to be at, players and personnel. And I think I might be wrong about that. There's some people who are, there's a bit of a buzz off the lead to look at the talent the Giants have. Heck yeah, I want to be on that team. Heck yeah, I look to Coach Malik Neighbors and Scatterbo and Dart. And we talked about it last week. I said, we have a nice core. I'm taking back what I said about the tight end situation. I'm not putting Theo Johnson in that mix anymore. I just can't do it. Too many drops. I'm not confident with that part. But beside that, offensively, we got a very nice core talent. Does not even negate the talent on the defensive side. It's a thing of beauty where it works right. For some reason, it's not working very well. So we'll get to that later on in the show. Dave is our guy here in the box today. He's saying he's been a fan for 35 years. But go ahead, brother. I love that. You're in here. I love it. And I think we're good on the audio, brother. I'm not hearing the devil on your side right now. But I think we're good to go.
That's good. Just want to make sure we're doing this right, especially with Dave here listening in.
I love StreamYard is the man. I love StreamYard, man. They got so many new features, and they always are dealing in the realm of continuous improvement. That little 4-party kind of surprised me. I don't know what happened with that, but we'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. But we're shopping for a new head coach, y'all. So I'm hearing a whole lot of names. Some I like, some please.
Dude, I've been hearing, like, apparently someone I was talking with my dad earlier. He was helping me move in today with my apartment. I wasn't able to watch the game on Sunday because I was moving in. Didn't have a TV set up at all. None. Just following things on my phone best I could. But some of the names that I've heard that my dad was telling me as he was driving up here, he was listening to New York Sports Talk Radio, and someone was reporting that we bring in, oh my God, now that I wanted Jason Garrett as a head coach candidate. And I was like, the person who suggested that should be banned from ever talking sports in any capacity ever again. That was the most outrageous. Like, we tried it as an OC and he was terrible. Like, one of the reasons people give as for Daniel Jones's lack of success here is that he went from Schumer as a head coach guiding him offensively to Jason Garrett as an offensive coordinator, because we went from that to Joe Judge. So it's just not good, to put it lightly. Yeah, there seems to be this. It seems to be like all of the top candidates, like Schefter and Rappaport, are putting out there. It's like a bunch like Spagnuolo, Antonio Pierce, guys that it's like, I don't know if I want them as head coaches. Do I want Spags as a defensive coordinator with his creative blitzes that he could give for Dex, Abdul, Kayvon, and Burns? Yeah, I'd love that. Would I want Antonio Pierce as a defensive coordinator? Sure, give it a shot. Do I want either of these guys as the head coach? No, and there's also talks of Lou Anarumo. Don't know if I love that. But right now, I think it's like one of the main betting marketplaces, not like FanDuel or anything, but one of these places where you can like bet on coaching hires. Right now, the favorite for the Giants is McCarthy. Don't know if I hate that, but I certainly don't think that's the move to like make us contenders again. It might help bring us some stability, like because despite some of the clownery and laughing stockness of the Cowboys' postseason success the past few years, the truth is with Mike McCarthy, they had 3 straight 12-win seasons and were one of the few teams to ever accomplish that in the Super Bowl era. So, if it means all of a sudden we're these consistent contenders, even if we're not getting over the hump, I mean, I know that's not the end goal, but it's better than what we've got. But are we really so desperate that we need to turn to McCarthy? Like, find your Kevin O'Connell, your Shanahan.
Okay, if he's the answer, tell me how are the defenses in those consecutive 12 wins? How is the defenses on those
good. Pretty solid. He's not a defensive guy, but Mike McCarthy's an offensive guy. But they had I think it was Kellen Moore, and then I forget who their defensive coordinator. I think Dan Quinn was actually their defensive coordinator for a few years, so they were good defenses. But it wasn't McCarthy.
It wasn't because of McCarthy.
It wasn't McCarthy, no. But I mean, I think we've got to draft a guy to help Dart. I mean, that should absolutely be the priority, and then let him bring in a good young staff to coach up the defense.
Concerning for me is the idea of bringing a coach in just to help Dart. We heard names like Gruden and some other names. That's not how you
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if any team can touch Gruden right now with the lawsuit against him for the racism allegations.
I don't know the status, but his name is still in the conversation for some strange reason. You can't bring in a guy to help out with the quarterback. We need somebody to help out with that team because a young team, I think even in little years, it's a young team. We need somebody who's going to be able to hang out. Because what I'm seeing now, I saw the number today, which is I almost forgot how staggering this number was. 14 head coaches in 20 years. I'm sorry, man, but you're very close to being a head coach a year. That number, you're not far from that. That can't happen. So we got to have somebody who's going to have some kind of longevity. I don't know who that name is. I heard a name like Stefanski. I don't know the answer to this question. I think we'll be discussing it for the next several weeks because it's going to be probably a fluid discussion. We got to have somebody who can be able to grow with this squad. I mean, a lot of the guys that we've been talking about for several weeks, they're here for the next 2 years at least, some 3 years, some 4 years. Some of the guys on the defense got a little bit of a shorter tenure unless they get an extension. But we want somebody who can be able to stay with them for this time because what we see those guys go in and out, even with Danny Jones when he was here, we saw it all the time. OC's going in and out, changing scheme, changing game plan, and Daniel Jones was like, can we just pick a plan and stick with it? So he was getting, the brunt of some of that stuff. And here we are now making changes again. I'm glad we're looking at a new head coach, but honestly, I have no idea. I heard that Hafley's the front one. I'm like, Hafley? He didn't even cross my mind. But for some reason, he seemed to be, I know he's a Jersey guy. Is that the only reason why? I'm not sure. Nothing against him. I think he's doing a great job with the Packers, but for him to be the front runner, it's a little bit weird. I want to get into some other stuff, though. Let's kind of move on a little bit to what we were talking about with now the day ball's out. It's just surprising, and most of the people in the fan circles, in the chat rooms, on social, they're saying, why is Bowen and Shane still here? Dayball's gone. Why, especially Bowen, why is he still here? I mean, numbers wise, our defense surrenders almost 28 points a game. We got a net 56 differential in the fourth quarter. That means that we allow more points in the fourth quarter than we actually score in the games, what that differential means, which is staggering. And that does speak to coaching. I think that's part of the reason probably why Dayball was released. But how do you look at Bowen and not, you know what? You did fine, bud. Stick around for a little while longer. How do we parse that part? Because I know that you said, I think I said it with you, that it's time for did we agree on a complete teardown or did we talk about a reboot? I feel like it was a complete teardown we were talking about, right? Was that accurate?
Sorry, say again?
Did we agree on a complete teardown?
Oh, yeah. No, we
okay.
Yeah, no, we absolutely did that. I mean, look, the fact that Bowen is here, from what I've seen reported, is that they wanted the big move to be Dable being gone. That decision was made. There was all the speculation that came out that it actually was going to happen after the Denver collapse, and then cooler heads, prevailed in some kind of meeting. But the reason Bowen is still here is that there's this big transition now going on to Kafka, and he's now taking a lot into his plate. And they didn't, and no one in the front office, the management, the ownership wanted to just be throwing even more onto his plate. It might happen in a couple weeks, but at the end of the day, they're just like, look, we're going through this massive transition now. I don't think I agree with it. I would just rip the Band-Aid off, promote Patterson, promote somebody to run the defense. But it's just, the fact that Bowen entered the season was a nightmare. Especially with all the things that came out about him, but and Mara's thoughts on him. But at the end of the day, it's just one of those things that, look, my dream scenario is we actually just lose out at this point, get the number 1 overall pick, and just kind of coast. We get number 1. All right. Hey, Browns, throw us pick 5 or 6 and pick 12 and your second rounder this year, and trade up, get your quarterback. Something like that, turn that 1-1 into a whole bunch of assets and start swinging for the fences with wide receivers and linebackers and corners. Get some interior O-line, in the off season, there's a lot of ways we can get off of certain players and create, I think, an additional $30 to $35 million in cap space before even needing to restructure guys like Burns, Lawrence, and Thomas. There's a lot of, again, this isn't going to be a desirable landing spot, which is why I don't know. Reports are saying Shane is safe. I don't fully buy it. Obviously, that's going to be the big one. We're going to have to wait and see. But I think regardless of Shane, a head coach is going to look at this a candidate is going to look at the Giants and be like, they've got the quarterback, they got the left tackle, they've got a phenomenal defensive front. As Dave mentioned earlier in one of his comments, no Cam now, but Cam will be back, Neighbors will be back, so there are pieces here. And I think that is going to make this spot desirable. Again, I would just clean house, get the mojo out. There's got to be a lot of different things that happen. I don't know if it's going to happen because I don't think Mara wants to do a full-on ownership search that he can't be involved in because he is dealing with cancer. I pray for him and his family. I hope he gets better. I have my issues with how he's run these things, but obviously something like cancer goes way beyond football. So I understand not wanting to put himself through this whole thing. I don't think he needs to be a part of all of this, although I can understand that him as the majority owner will want to be involved in a GM hiring. But, there's just all these components that seem to be falling in Shane's favor, as it were.
Fair. There's a lot to get into. A lot of things I want to just kind of just throw out here based on what you got in the sense. Excuse me, because it's really hard for me to understand how you can have so many blown leads and the DC doesn't get shown the door. It's not that doesn't make sense in my brain. I'm talking about even on Sunday, they had no sacks, 3 quarterback hits. The pass rush is almost non-existent. I don't know how you could do that when, honestly, for the new head coach coming in, who's probably going to be a defensive-minded coach, if what we hearing is true, they're going to look at that defense and say, you know what, this is part of the future. I can build something off of this. And it's really hard to kind of parse those two different ideals. But with Shane, I know last week, probably the week before that, I made a mention about how he wouldn't use the void years. And we talked about that a lot. And now I'm sitting here now. That's why sometimes we get in the heat of the moment. you got to watch what you say because you end up having to eat crow and having to change your mind. And I wonder now, if that wasn't a bad idea in hindsight. And I look back at it now, I'm like, you know what? Maybe he shouldn't have been throwing money around and stuff. Potentially, I'm not afraid of him not spending money. I know he will when the time is right, I guess. But maybe this wasn't the right time. Maybe we should have to become players again in this city that we basically run anyway. We should be actually at a place where we are the mecca of the NFL in that city, and it should be that way. And maybe perhaps the financial restraints and the things that he's doing, hey, perhaps this is a good idea. So I'm gonna give Shane a little bit of credit. I'm gonna give Shane a little bit of credit right now. So that's someone's at my door. I'm like, I didn't know what was going on. Excuse me. Family first, right? But
no, of course.
I really feel like that this could be a good idea. This could be a wise approach with all that's going on. I mean, like you said last week, and you hinted at it a little bit. Bringing in all these guys in here that with a high price tag. What good would that do us now? What we got going on injury wise and in other areas. So you know what, Shane might be playing the right move here. So before I say, you know what, Shane should be fired too, I'm gonna pull back off of that at least for a week and just and sit back and rethink that, because maybe this man has a better plan than what we giving him credit for. I know Giants fans don't want to hear that because they want everybody out at the same time, get rid of everybody. If they can fire John Mara, they probably would do that too. I hear these people talking, so it doesn't surprise me. But we'll keep on moving, man. But I want to talk to you a little bit about, or there's a few things I want to talk to you about, but this thing with Mike Kafka taking over. It's not really the first time we've seen him as in a quote unquote interim role. We've seen it before when wasn't it? I thought it happened also when Andy Reid was out sick with a serious injury or a serious illness. And I think he took over at that point too. And I think even here there was a time when he was head coaching. But honestly, I don't know what to make out of this. He's the next man up, and that's fine. But offensively, we're talking about we're 16th in the NFL, which ain't the worst, but still, we're scoring 21 points a game, and we're going up against the teams that we're going up against, and our defense is giving points up like they are. That number's it's not really that great on paper. So, do we think Kafka's going to improve on this? Do you think he has the ability? Is he enough of an offensive mind to help us to score more points with the talent that we have? Or is he just a stopgap and he got maybe 2 or 3 games in him and then he's going to get booted? What do you think is going to happen with Kafka?
I think I don't think it's going to be doing anything.
Okay.
I mean, especially not in this first game. I mean, that Green Bay defense is legit. Outside of the game against the Cowboys, it has been every bit as good as everybody thought it could be. The issue in Green Bay has been the offense, which is why now there's talk that LaFleur's job could be, on the hot seat. In a report that came out today or yesterday, actually. Yeah, it was today because the game was last night. So, I mean, the Giants' offense with Dart has been good. He's been let down in a lot of scenarios by the people around him. He has put himself in unnecessary danger, taking unnecessary risks. Although I think that is in part to what I've said on this podcast once or twice in the past, that I think the part of the reason he leans with his head and takes these hits as much as he does is because he feels somebody has to go out there and make a play. And with Scatterbo out, with Neighbors out, I do think a certain part of it is just him. But I do think he's like, I need to fight for every yard because if I don't get it, no one else on this offense will. He can't trust Wandale too much. Slayton's hands are inconsistent at best, it seems like. Same with Theo Johnson. Bellinger's been solid, but he is limited in what he can do athletically. Tyrone Tracy is good in open space, but our offensive line, for as great as it's been in pass pro, hasn't been that great in run blocking. So I think he's just like, look, somebody's got to go out there and fight for every extra yard, and it's I choose, it's got to be me and he's been good at it. He has been good at it. And he currently leads quarterbacks in rushing touchdowns. And 90% of these ain't no Jalen Hurts tush push touchdowns going from the 4-yard line because you need to run it 4 darn times in a row. They're actual rushing touchdowns.
I got a question for you on this, man.
All right, hit me.
I heard what you said. I heard who you named. Bellinger. I heard that. When Scat and Neighbors was healthy, wasn't he still doing this? Because for me, I'm like, if the mindset is I got to go out and get a play, I got to go out and push the envelope to get this done. Okay, that makes sense with the people that you named. But when Neighbors was out there and Scat was there, they were both healthy, and Theo Johnson was, well, I guess theoretically catching passes, he was still doing some of the same stuff. You and I talked about it. Why he won't slide? Why he won't do this? Why is he moving out of the pocket and he doesn't have to? We talked about that kind of stuff. So it's like, is it a Dart thing or is it an offense thing?
I do think it's a bit of both. I do think Dart is just, and pretty much always will be, like a Josh Allen type of runner where he's going to go out there and he's going to try to play Superman. But I certainly don't think it is helped with the situation around him. There was a brief period in time where I felt like when Scatterbo was healthy and we were putting up these points where he was sliding a bit more. Like you saw in that first Eagles game, he was willing to slide a bit more. Denver, he slid a bit more. It wasn't perfect, but he did it.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden now everyone's down again. And now he won't. Now he's refusing to slide again. Again, I don't think he's ever, and that is the issue. He's not built like a Josh Allen or a Justin Herbert. Like that is an issue. He's gonna take these hits. But guys like Lamar, Lamar, for as fast as he is, he still takes hits, but he's not ginormous. I think Dart in a couple of years will hopefully put on some good muscle and we'll be able and we'll have learned to protect himself a bit more.
He's going to have to.
Right now, he's a rookie. It's got to get coached out of him. And I just don't see Kafka. Exactly. Well, that's why I'm saying we got to get a coach who's going to be able to coach him up a bit, even if it is just in that way. Like, look, one of the guys that you mentioned earlier, Hafley, the Green Bay defensive coordinator, he's certainly someone I'd take a flyer on for a head coach. I like what he's done with the Green Bay defense. I'd love to see what he could do with the pieces we have, especially if we're able to add, again, kind of a dream first round for me is, we have number 1 overall and we trade back, with the Browns or something like that, or maybe even the Rams, get turn that 1 first round pick into 2 first round picks and an extra second. And all of a sudden we start addressing, linebacker and, maybe Caleb Downs, and with the first pick, Carnell Tate with the second. Again, unrealistic dream scenario here that I could do on Madden that probably won't be happening anytime soon in the real world. But, a boy can dream. A boy can certainly dream.
You're bringing in Hafley in what capacity, though? I think I might have missed that part. What are you talking about? As a head coach?
Say again?
You talking about bringing Hafley in as a head coach?
Yeah, he's the defensive coordinator for Green Bay, right?
Oh, yeah, I know his role is right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if we were to bring him in as a head coach with what he's been able to do with Green Bay's defense, I'd love to see if we, because again, I don't want to go to a Gruden, a Belichick, a McCarthy. I want to keep with the young, innovative minds that we just need to, like Kevin O'Connell, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur. There's plenty of other of these young, Stefanski in Cleveland, for as bad as Cleveland has been, he's been good. He's been a good coach. And these are all guys that I think came in younger, innovative minds that, were able to take command of a locker room, got the players' respects, and put their teams in infinitely better positions than they were in before. That is what I want to see for the Giants search. And it's one of the reasons I think I would be more inclined to keep Shane around. Because if Mara is like, look, I'm not healthy enough, I'm just going to trust you, Shane. Don't screw me over. Get this right. I'm giving you this opportunity here. And Shane's like, okay, full autonomy here. I'm going to keep up. Like, I know what I want. I want a young, innovative coach. That's why he came in with Dable. Like, if we can continue with that, I think that would be best. Like, Jesse Minter, the Chargers defensive coordinator's one. Hafley is another one. Again, these are more defensive guys. But, oh my God, what's his name? Kubiak?
Yeah.
I think he's a popular option. Clint Kubiak.
I heard all these names. Jesse Minter is definitely somebody who I know from Michigan, so I'm definitely excited about him doing anything with us. Hafley wants to be in New York, which is pretty cool. He has background in the area. He's not young. He's 40. Well, he's 46.
That's young for an NFL head coach.
I guess you could say that, but that's not. He's probably in the median range if you add them all up, everybody around the league. But no words on that. He did an interview with the Jets before they picked up Aaron Glenn instead. But yeah, I'm not against Hafley. I'm just like I want somebody who's going to stick and the defensive-minded coach is a good thing because honestly, we talked about this early in the season, man. The Giants, that returning back to that smash mouth, that identity that I think we're supposed to have, we need to have that. Our offense is going to be lit. I'm excited about it, especially if we could show up some little areas on the line and some things. Some guys had a rough day on Sunday, not good. But if we can shore some of that stuff up, either to the draft or however, that tight end situation, see if we can get that straight, we can do a whole bunch of stuff and we can look like a really solid and balanced team, which is what we need to be doing. But a defensive-minded coach that can come in and kind of help the defense pull some things together, because they've been up and down like a roller coaster, mostly down for the entire year. So that has to change. I want to ask you a question, because I've been thinking about this. I've been hearing people talk about it, but I don't know if it's true or not. But I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think the culture at MetLife is broken, or do you think it's overblown and it's not as bad as people are making it out to be? What do you think?
Depends on what you mean by culture. I think that certain guys just, if you want to start winning, you have to get them out of the locker room. Guys like Hyatt, Banks, Neal, guys that contribute
Banks
nothing.
Trade value is dead now. He has no trade value now.
Oh yeah, no, like I maybe you package all three of them for a seventh. Like whatever it takes, you got to get them out of the locker room, clear up a little bit of cap space. Again, give those roster spots to people who you think can contribute. And then again, you can't force the issue. Like you can't make Banks work. You got to address that hole. You got to trade away or cut. I don't know. Either way. So I do think something like that does affect the locker room and the culture, as it were. That being said, when you have, like, I saw someone say you need to trade Dex because he's a loser. All he's done is lose, and all losers do is lose. If you think Dexter Lawrence is a losing player, I think you're crazy.
Wow.
So That being said, if a team, like if we wanted to clear up space and a team was willing to give us like 3-4 first-round picks for Dex, I'd listen to the phone call. I don't even know if I'd still take it, but like if you, because I think all it takes, like we saw, if you think the Giants are really that broken, what do you think the Lions were before the previous 4 years? The Lions were maybe, outside of the Browns, the most historically losing franchise, at least in the quote-unquote modern era. Like, you want to talk since, like, the turn of the century, the most miserable, woebegone, never making the playoff franchise.
Woebegone, word of the day from Saban. Woebegone.
Franchises. The Detroit Lions were that. They brought in the right people, they got the right coach, and they found stability, and now they are a contender every year. If you like, that is why I believe with the talent we already have on the roster, we are a good head coach away and maybe one more good draft from truly putting ourselves firmly in the playoff picture for the next half decade. Like, I truly do believe that. But as it stands right now,
half a decade.
It is. I'm not going to be getting political here, but my thought process on the Giants coaching and pretty much everything involving the Giants is it's like whoever's elected president, even if I don't like them, even if I don't like the decision, I'm rooting for the team. I hope it works out. So even though I'm going to be saying a lot of negative things about a lot of potential coaching candidates in the following weeks and months, I'm going to be staying consistent on this. Even if I don't like it, I hope it works out, and I'm going to be rooting for them. So, like, right now, I do not think the answer is to go safe and familiar and old school with guys who had been around the Giants franchise a decade plus ago and who haven't worked out. Like, I don't think Spagnuolo, I don't think Antonio Pierce, I don't think Lou Anarumo, I don't think these guys are going to get it done for the Giants. But if we bring him, I'm going to be rooting for him, obviously. And again, I just want a guy who can come in here and all of a sudden we just start winning games again. And it's good to be a Giants fan. And once you start winning cures all. I mean, there's a dumpster fire that has to be put out every week with the Eagles, but they just keep winning. And that makes it you think AJ Brown wouldn't have gone absolutely ballistic demanding a trade, made it everybody's problem right now if the Eagles weren't winning? Winning cures all, or at the very least most. And right now, I don't think we are that far away.
We're not. We talked about it last week. We talked about the game that we've been in. I mean, honestly, I called us a mash unit a couple of weeks ago, but because that's how I felt in the moment. But we've been in every game. There hasn't been a game we haven't been in where Dalton has been the starting quarterback. We've been in every single game. Before that, with Russ was a different conversation. We were in some games, but not enough. Or have enough confidence that, you know what, we could potentially win this game. We were 20 up 20-17 before Dart went out in the fourth. So we're not far off in any respect. So yeah, I'm with you on this one. I think that we have a bright future. I don't know who comes in and takes it to the next level. People talk about bringing Tom Coughlin. I'm like, man, I love me Coach Coughlin. Don't get me to say nothing bad about Coach Coughlin, but he's done so much for the organization. Those Super Bowls, those teams were legendary, man. We would have been like the Jets had it not been for those Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the same category, not excluding the Phil Simms Super Bowls, which is they were legendary LT. Nothing against that. I number love for that. But those Super Bowls were a big deal with all the heat that Eli was getting. It made a really big difference. So I'll give him all the credit in the world. Do I want him as the head coach right now? No, man. I rather him. I love him to be in the front office. He should never have left that place. But that's another story altogether, different show, different episode. But I don't know who's going to come in and be that. I kind of feel like we'll know it when we know, because some of the names that we thrown out, it's like, okay, you enthusiastic about Clint Kubiak? I'm not really there. I can tell you about Cliff Kingsbury, but I said that for specific reasons. Not because I thought he could run a whole team. So he's not even on my list anymore. You know, we talked about what's your boy from Minnesota. I'm blanking out on him right now, but the defensive. Yeah, I'm not even convinced of that one either. I mean, for me, I like the idea of Hafley in retrospect to the other names that are being named. I like Hafley in that place. I like the idea of a Kevin Stefanski in this realm of names that we're hearing right now. Those names are going to increase. We're going to hear a lot more. I believe that firmly. So those are the two guys that stand out for me. I'll be actually excited about that because I think they bring enough innovation, enough creativity, and they can be able to speak to both sides of the ball because somebody has to, you know. And who they were bringing with them, that's the only question mark for me. Who's going to be on the staff? Who you bringing in from where? You know. So that's a big thing. But guess what? We're in the market for that right now. We have a shopping list, and we're out here trying to find somebody to help us turn this thing around. Because the idea of 2-8 is really bad for a team that's been competitive in all but 2 or 3 games this season, and this is where we are, losing in the fourth quarter. It's egregious. You got your boy Colin Cowherd out here, Fox Sports Radio, saying firing Daboll was idiotic. He got you a playoff win. Those don't grow on trees. I'm like, wow. There's a lot of times where
neither does 2. Well, I guess 2-8 does though, like because that's been their record after 10 games the last 3 years. Like
it's nonsense because just a playoff win by nobody even gives that playoff win the. I want to say this nicely as a Giants fan. I got to watch what I'm saying, I guess, because I want to make it sound like I'm not a Giants fan for real, because I am. I'm more blue than most of the people that be talking. But it was more of an anomaly than it was, oh, man, you just powered your way to something great, you know? It wasn't the kind of domination that gives, people, makes you pay attention. And even when it happened, people were more shocked than they were impressed. They were more shocked than they were impressed. So that playoff win that Cowherd is talking about, it's like, okay, that should give him some more time. I mean, what the record again? 20, 40, and 1. How much time? This is within 4 years. How much more time do you want to give this man? That one playoff win don't give you enough credit. If that's the case, DJ will still be here. Why is he not here? As a matter of fact, I don't recall Cowherd saying, you know what? Daniel Jones should be the quarterback of this team. He should be here. I don't recall him saying that one time. But Daboll should be here, though. It's hypocrisy. But that's another story altogether, man. But something I want to ask you. I've been thinking about this for days, but you're under the weather, and I don't want to bother you too much. But tell me why you think Jameis is not the QB2 right now. Because you know good and well when what comes aside there, the whole place erupts in boos, and the play goes down. Body language on the team, on both sides of the ball, you can see it visibly. People are like, it's almost like sticking a pin in a balloon and all the air goes out. Tell me why you think Jameis is not the QB2, and why right now you might have to think about that. If Darth's not ready, why is he not there? Why is Russ still getting preferential treatment in this regard? What do you think?
I wish I had a better answer for you, but I think we're about to find out if Russell Wilson was a Daboll guy or a Shane guy. I think we're going to learn that real quick. Because, was it that Daboll, I think it's Shane. I think Shane promised Russ a certain things and was mandating it. Because we know who Daboll's guy was from the beginning. It was Dart. I think if Dable truly had his way, Dart would have started week 1. I really believe that. And who knows what happens from there. I mean, so many butterfly effects. Maybe we're a couple wins better. Maybe maybe Dable still has his job. Maybe Malik Neighbors somehow doesn't get injured just because certain things are just called differently, and who knows. But at the end of the day, I think the reason Russ is QB2 is because Shane's mandated it. And I think we're going to really learn that if come Sunday, Dart isn't cleared and Russ is QB1 with Jameis at QB2. I think it's going to be very informative.
That's just the worst thing I could imagine and think right now. That's the worst case scenario. I don't understand that.
I don't think it's the worst case scenario because again, I think at this point it's the best thing for this team is just to lose. Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, this is loser mentality.
But the fans will be into the game. The players will be playing. They'll be up.
Again, this is one of those things where I am not happy with myself for thinking this way. And obviously, these guys on the team approach every week with the mindset of how can we win? We need to win. We want to win. But as a fan who is just looking at this from an outside perspective of someone who isn't in that locker room, I think it is objectively better for the future of this team to lose these games. And I think Russell Wilson gives us the best chance to do that.
I can't stand you, man.
I mean, again, we were just talking about, hey, how do you want this? Hey, GM candidates, coaching candidates. Here's our strategy. Here's what we can give you. Jackson Dart, franchise QB, it looks like. Franchise left tackle when healthy. Franchise level all-time defensive tackle. Phenomenal edge rushing group. Wide receiver 1 when he comes back healthy. Running back 1 when he comes back healthy. Number 1, number 2 pick in the entire draft we're going to be trading back and acquiring a lot more draft capital to work with, or maybe we'll just be taking, hey, defensive-minded head coaches. How would you like to add Caleb Downs to this secondary? Arvell Reese to the linebacking core. Just there is more ability to entice these guys to come to the team, to entice the best possible candidates if we have this high draft pick with all of these, spots filled on the roster. Again, I'm saying this on a Tuesday, and by Friday, I'm going to be like, how can we win? Like, I'm saying this now. And then every single week, I end up at the same point where if Russell Wilson is making a boneheaded play on Sunday, I'm going to be screaming at my television.
All right. For me, I feel like we've run the gamut on all we're going to talk about. I'm going to just, in my part of this, with the remaining schedule, I need you to see this. Based on all you just said, I need you to just hear this because some of these are like the scenario of us losing. Nothing about it sounds good in my head. But however, I get your point about having basically tanking is what you're saying. Having the best record, the worst record, but the best possible draft scenario. We got Green Bay coming up. I believe that's at home. We're at Detroit.
Gonna lose.
We're at New England with a bye week in between. We're going to be at home against Washington.
Could win, especially if will be healthy by then. But
Las Vegas
could win. But again, here's the thing with Washington and Vegas. Those are the only two games that I think we will have a shot in the rest of the way. And again, as I said last week, just because I think they could win doesn't mean I'm going to be picking them to. I don't think I'll be picking the Giants to win a game the rest of this year. Unless all of a sudden Geno Smith is benched for Aiden O'Connell. In which case, yeah, then I think I might pick the Giants to win. But, barring something like that, I don't think the Giants certainly by the sports books will not be favored in a game the rest of the year. That's just not going to be happening.
Well, this is with or without Dart. I mean,
with Dart, even with Dart, I don't think the Giants will be favored in a game the rest of the year.
That would be surprising.
I think certainly
Mariota and Geno Smith. Yeah, I'm not ready to go that far, but I get your point about the draft aspect and where we should be and all this stuff. We need all the draft capital we can get, especially this upcoming draft. We need some stuff to happen. I love the names you picked. We need help at linebacker. I am not thrilled with things at tight end, but I'm not sure we're going to resolve that in the draft. I think I would rather resolve that on the street. There's a lot, man. Secondary, got to do something. I don't think Newman's the one, so I got to do something behind our main guys, Adebo and Holland. So there's a lot. So this draft's going to be a very, very exciting one for me. I'm going to be deeply into this one. But anything else before we ride out of here, man? What else you got?
I don't really have anything outside of just saying I really hope they get this right.
Well, we'll keep up with each other, man. And if we have any news, we'll shoot it to each other about head coaching and probably a whole bunch of other stuff because I think some more guys are going to get fired off of their staff. It's only a matter of time, but we'll see how it turns out, man. But that's just I'm Mr. U. We talk all things New York Football Giants, and we're looking forward to the draft. I can't believe it. We're already talking mock draft already, so we're already here, man. But it is what it is. But the Giants have a very, very bright future. We don't care if you believe it. We know.